Good evening, everyone. It gives us immense pleasure to host the launch of the book, Uma, Not So Perfect. Please welcome on stage the chief guest for the evening, Mr. R. Seshasayee, Executive Editor, Mango Books, Mrs. Saraswati Rajagopalan, and the author, Yamini Prashanth. We'll start off today's session with a prayer sung by Yamini's friends.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Hari Om Hari Om Hari Om. Ya Kundendu Dusharahara Dhavala, Ya Shubhra Vastravrita, Ya Veena Varadanda Manditagala, Ya Shveta Padmasana, Ya Brahmachada Shankara Pravridivihi Devai Sada Pujita, Samapadu Saraswati Bhagavati Nisheshajatyapaha. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunatu Sahaviram Karavavahe Tejasvinavati Tamastu Ma Vridvishavahe Ma Vridvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
He started his career with Hindustan Lever Limited in 1971 and joined Ashok Leyland in 1976. Rose to become Executive Director, Finance in 1983 and was elevated to Deputy Managing Director in 1993 and Managing Director in 1998. He became the Executive Vice Chairman of Ashok Leyland in 2011 and is presently its Non-Executive Vice Chairman. He is also the Chairman of Infosys Ltd, having served on its board from 2011. He has been an active leader of CII for over 20 years and served as a chairman on the boards of many other eminent national institutions. He is also the Vice President of the Music Academy, Chennai. He has won many honors and recognition, including the Star of Italian Solidarity, Award by Italian Government, Sir Jahangir Gandhi Medal, and Industrial and Social Peace by XLRI Jamshedpur, and the Lifetime Achievement Award by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chief Guest for the evening, Mr. R. Seshasayee. The 14-year-old author of Mishti, a children's novel, Mishti was published by Unicorn Books and was launched in October 2013. She wrote Mishti when she was 11 years old. Mishti was reviewed by our Honorable late ex-President, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Her second book, Best of Granny Stories, that was launched at Odyssey on Teachers' Day in 2014. It's a collection of 20 stories meant for 6 to 8-year-old. She's a voracious reader and her favorite authors are Shakespeare, Enid Blyton, Ruskin Bond, and Rick Riordan. Yamini has also become one of the youngest TEDx speakers of India. She spoke at TEDx at the École Mondiale Girls' School in Mumbai. She is a student of 10th grade in Vidya Mandir Senior Secondary School, Mylapore. Her interview has been featured in many leading newspapers. She has been given the Hall of Fame recognition by the Science Olympiad Foundation of India. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Yamini Prashanth. I also saw a news this morning which said something about Kohinoor. And have you missed anything? She's sitting here, right here. So we wish her good luck. And Mango is children's books imprint in English of DC Books. Founded by the late Dominic Chaco Kilikamuri, DC Books is among the top literary publishers in India with over 4 decades of experience in printing, publishing and retailing, and also has a wide presence in the Gulf. Mango is in its 9th year and has a mark on the children's publishing scene in India. Mango has also been a launchpad for many young and aspiring Indian authors and has won several national and international awards in the past few years. Representing Mango Books, please welcome Mrs. Saraswati Rajgopalan, Executive Editor at Mango. Yamini will now give away mementos to the distinguished guests. I would now request the chief guest, Mr. Seshasayee, to now formally launch the book and say a few words.
Friends, I'm delighted to be a part of this wonderful function. It's almost like a family function. If some of you are wondering, as I do, as to what an ancient old man is doing, releasing this book, which is written by a 14-year-old young girl. It's a book of young girls, for young girls. So what am I doing here, releasing this book? So let me tell you a story. This is about Napoleon. Napoleon, as all of you know, was a great general, a great warrior, but apparently had this habit of writing long letters, instructions to his generals how to do a campaign, writing to other monarchs about taking over a country or fighting, going to war or whatever. And then he had this habit of calling his sentry. As you know, sentry is not supposed to be very intelligent. They're supposed to be a bit on the lower side of IQ. So he would call the dumbest sentry, and then he would read out his letter to the sentry. And his logic was that if the dumbest sentry can understand what I'm writing, then everybody else should understand. So I guess that Yamini chose me to release this book, because if an ancient old man can enjoy this book, everybody else should enjoy this book. And let me say, I thoroughly enjoyed this. So just to be doubly sure, I gave this book to one of my young friends, also a girl in the neighborhood. And to those of you who have not had the chance to preview this, this is about a girl, Uma, not so perfect, who's got a perfect sister, Sitara, and a young kid brother. And they migrate to UK, and Uma has this grand anticipation of storming her school, a new school, and dazzle with her talent. And in the course of her journey, because she has a secret, and of course I can't tell you what that secret is because you've got to buy this book and read it, but because she has the secret, she has to lie to her parents. And this is a book about how Uma realizes her ambitions. So I called a young friend of mine, a girl roughly her age, and said, you read this book and tell me what you think about this. So after she had read, so I asked her, what do you think of Uma? She said, Uma's cool. I said, every child seems to, every girl and boy seems to think everybody is cool and everything is cool in this hot summer in Chennai. I said, what's so cool? Because Uma is pretty cheeky, she is sometimes rude, and she is very stubborn. So my friend said, she's also very talented, she's also very brave, and she has an attitude. So I said, yes, she has an attitude, isn't it wrong? Isn't it bad? She says, no, You're supposed to have an attitude. Having an attitude is good. So that is a moment of truth for me. Because this is about a heroine who is not all white. There are bits of gray. And this is how world is. All of us have shades of gray. In my days, in my early days, you had this movies of MGR and Sivaji Ganesan, and they were all lily white. And subsequently changed a little bit when they punched the villains a little bit. But even now, Dhanush is, I think, reasonably pretty white, although that he bashes his villains. But the world is not like that. The world is full of gray people. All of us are gray. We have good and bad. And therefore, to have a book written on not so perfect heroine, I think takes a lot of courage. It's easy to write a book of someone who is just perfect, just white, because then it's a familiar theme, that the virtuous person get thrashed by the villainous people and good. This is a good versus evil. This is a bad versus good kind of story. That's plenty. But to have the courage at this young age to say that I'm not going to do this good versus evil, ultimately good triumphs kind of story. I'm going to talk about somebody who's not so perfect, and just great. And I think it's great. So I went again back to my young friend and said, you know what, this girl, this Uma, lies to her parents. So how's that cool? So she said, well, she thought about it and she said, well, it depends. I said, why should it depend? We were lying to her parents is bad. She said, no, it depends. It depends on whether the parents understand her or not, and whether they understand her aspirations or not. So that is another moment of truth for me, because doing something wrong or doing something untruthful is not an absolute issue. And if you look at it, it's pretty complicated. In fact, if you look at the Ramayana, Rama says, what is Satyam? And he says, that which doesn't hurt people is Satyam. It might be even a lie. And in fact, you must have, I don't know if you have Thiruvallur, and you have Kural about Vaimai, which says, Yadantum Trimai Ladashul. If you don't hurt, that's truth. So truth can be very relative. It's not all that easy. And therefore to say that lying to your parents is sometimes okay, is sometimes cool, because it depends on whether you have your parents' understanding or not. It's another dimension to world. And that's another moment of truth for me. Then I went back again, the third time, and asked my young friend, I said, what do you find so interesting in this book? She said, well, it's all about how Uma, the heroine, achieves her objective, achieves her aspiration, and all the twists and turns that go with it. And I completely agree. And what she said thereafter was even more captivating. She said, it's so natural, this is what we go through in school every day. And I asked Yamini when she came to invite me, I said, what inspires you to write stories? She said that everyone that I see has a story, and I like to make a story of every person that I know. And this is being natural. The twists and turns that you have is natural. If you just stop and think, there's nothing in nature which is a straight line. Absolutely nothing in nature that is a straight line. Whether it's plants, or whether it is the animal kingdom, or it's mountains or valleys, there is no straight line. A straight line is very efficient. From moving from point A to point B, with a straight line is the most efficient way of doing. But clearly, nature chooses beauty over efficiency, and that's why in nature you find everything is a curved line. There's nothing rectilinear. And therefore, this is the charming, beautiful part of this book. There are so many turns and twists, and all of them happen without losing speed at any time. There are no maneuvering done with slowing down the speed of the story. There's no sudden acceleration, sudden braking. Everything is flowing at 60 miles per hour beautifully. and then the thrillers there. So this is a wonderful book, and I'm sure that Yamini didn't think of all the profound issues relating to the grayness of human beings, about issues relating to the relativity of Satyam, and all of that. But as she grows, I'm sure she's going to be a great author. And if you happen to buy this book with a signature, I'm sure this will sit in your library of a book which is autographed for you by one of the most celebrated authors 20 years later. So don't forget to buy this. So in conclusion, I want to recall a book that I read. The book is by Robert Fulghum, and the title of the book is All I Wanted to Know, I Learned in the Kindergarten. That's an excellent book. And truly, everything that you want to learn in your life, dealing with people, dealing with governments, dealing with nations, all of that you learned when you were in kindergarten. All of that you learned in your school. The interactions that you have with the world around you in school has many seeds which subsequently grow. And if you look back and think about what you missed to learn and you want to learn, everything is there. I think this is one such book. I do think that we miss out a lot in terms of the philosophical undertones of nursery rhymes and Aesop's fables and so on, but there's a lot to it. And so this book is therefore also for ancient people like me. When I read this book and then say, this reminds of something which is far more philosophical than the simple story of Uma trying to realize her dream. So let me in conclusion again compliment and congratulate Yamini for this wonderful achievement, and also to Mango Publications for having encouraged Yamini to bring out this book. And I must also make a mention of Soumya Menon, who has illustrated this book beautifully. So perfect. It's the book is not about Uma not so perfect, but the illustrations are so perfect, except in one illustration where she forgot the black stockings of the lady who introduced the family into the school. So great work, enjoy reading, and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll just go back to the introduction part once again. An MPhil in chemistry, MEd and an MA in public administration. She joined Vidya Mandir Senior Secondary School as a postgraduate teacher in chemistry in '96. She became the science coordinator in 2006 and vice principal of the school in 2009. She took over as the principal in 2014. She is a Fulbright scholar and winner of the Silver Award for Excellence in Teaching, awarded by the Rustam Irani Foundation. She is a member of the Regional Selection Committee for the Fulbright Teacher Exchange Teaching Excellence and Achievement Program. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shobha Raman, Mrs. Shobha Raman. I would request Yamini to please present the memento to your principal. Ma'am, I would request you to say a few words.
I think this is the third time I'm here to wish Yamini all the best. I mean, I can see how she has grown as an author. Like right from the first, the second and third book. I really couldn't complete reading because I got it very late and it was too hectic for the past 2-3 days, and I was out of station also. So when I picked the book at 3 o'clock in the evening today, I couldn't stop, people were walking in and out of my room. I used to look at this and say, I mean, it was like I was reading the book, I couldn't put it down, I couldn't talk to others also. It was very difficult. Then at last I put that book away and said, okay, I'll concentrate more on work and then go back. Because I just wanted to read at least a few parts of it before I came here. And it really, as sir said, it moved with 60 miles per hour pretty fast, and I couldn't even stop to think what's going to happen. And as a principal, as a teacher, I could find, the nuances of how the three taking the entrance test. I think that is where I was when I was, interrupted rudely by so many things and I couldn't continue. So I'm sure I'll finish it tonight. So it is such a fast-moving story, and I can see the improvement, the maturity in which the way she has handled the second book and now the third book. A nice way of, her writing is really, it's moving up. So I'm very sure before she finishes school, she will be a full professional author there, and she's moving towards it. And I'm also very happy to say that she's taking up all responsibilities with equal flair, and she's doing a great job in school as well as this. So I'm very happy that she could find time to write, all encouragement given by parents, friends and everybody around. So with all their support, I'm sure she's going to go far ahead, and all the best wishes to you.
Thank you, ma'am. We now request Mrs. Saraswati to introduce the book and initiate the debate about studying abroad.
Good evening, everyone. It's really nice to see so many of you here. Thank you very much. Because let me start by saying, as publishers, we always keep our fingers crossed before any book launch, because we like to see a lot of people in the crowd, and it's really wonderful to see such a big turnout. And I think a lot of thanks. I'll start by thanking Gayatri for all the effort put into this. And I'm absolutely, I don't know what to say. Mr. Seshasayee, you've really picked up every nuance in the book, I think much more than even we did as the editors. Because one of the joys, actually, of being an editor is you get to read so much, and you don't realize how hard it is to write, but then we sit on the other side and we edit this and we edit that, say, oh, this is not right, that's not right. And, but what happened was, I must tell you, Yamini, there's a confession to make. We actually started quite, we were really anti-Uma when we started, because she really got on our nerves. But then as the book progressed and, as we started looking at it, I think it was the shades of grey, at times a vulnerable character. Sometimes you just love to hate her, and sometimes you feel, oh my God, would she just keep her mouth shut and not say as much as she did? And I can't tell you how much fun it was editing this book and actually, going through and thinking about the illustrations, because the kind of language that you've used, it's quite a challenge to get the illustrations right. And one thing I really have to thank Yamini for is, one day I just got this call. It sent her the manuscript, with all our corrections. And it's actually quite a rude document when it comes from an editorial office, because it's full of, it's done with track changes on Microsoft Word, and it's got all these red marks and green marks, and there'll be 3 rounds of editing, so many comments. And we always try to soften the blow by saying, listen, it's just us doing our job. Whatever you want, you take it or leave it. We're not putting any pressure. But I always wonder, oh my God, what are we doing? We're just sending something out, and what is this poor child going to think? And then I got this call quite late, around 9 at night, from her mom's phone. And for a minute, I didn't hear anything. And then after a while, Yamini just started almost, squealing, shaking. She was so happy with what we had done. And that was the moment for us. And I have to really especially thank our copy editor who's not here, Sherlyn Rafiq, who worked. I think we were constantly talking. Every edit that she was making, I was checking and, going back and forth. And I'm glad. So I really am glad that you have picked up the 60 miles or 60 kilometers an hour, because that was the pace we wanted. At no stage did we want the story to lose the plot. It's a wonderful book. And I think, it's great because just as I was sort of coming in here, I realized at Mango, I can't tell you how many books now we've actually published, written about young girls. And this is, I think, the 7th or 8th which has come out last year. I mean, it's not something which we've designed, something we have thought or we've planned, but it's just happened. And I think, Uma, don't be sort of fooled by the title. It says Uma Not So Perfect, but I really think it's the perfect book for all teenagers to read. And I do hope at Mango we'll find a lot more people actually, inspired and coming to us with manuscripts which we can actually take on and publish. So now, so there are 2 topics here. One thing was, we did say about studying abroad, but then you know, well, while I was talking to Yamini, we figured out that studying abroad is not just about studying and getting your degree and, you know, coming back. It's like every other experience where a big part of studying abroad, traveling abroad, going to any place new is trying to fit in. And that's really what the crux of Uma Not So Perfect is. There is somebody who travels abroad, wants to, you know, so excited about going to England and, you know, being in London and studying there and just takes in everything. I think so everything's so cool and wow and, you know, and almost trying to sort of shed her Indian roots and her Indian background. And desperately trying to fit in. So, how do we actually start? Now, a couple of questions. So, Yamini, do you want to go first?
So, can I just have a show of hands? How many of you have actually shifted schools ever? Yeah. How many of you have shifted schools or had any kind of transition, shifted countries, schools, even adults? How many of you have actually shifted schools before? Shifted states as well in India, I guess. I mean, that's us. Yeah.
If you want more hands, you should say schools or colleges.
Schools or colleges? All right. All right. So, and how many of you have had this shift cross borders, like across in a different state or in a different country? Right. So that's a lot of us. And how many of you have actually had trouble fitting in or have not had trouble fitting in? First had trouble. Like how many of you? And how did you manage to overcome it? Can we have like a few people? How did you manage to overcome it? Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah.
Can I share my experience?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Well, I was studying in Hyderabad in a convent, and then my father had changed jobs, so we had to go to Jamshedpur. So I studied in Jamshedpur for 2 or 3 years, and it was totally a different culture because all the girls were talking more of Hindi and Bengali and less of them in English. And I really felt like a fish out of water because I was not familiar with Hindi, yes, but Bengali it was, and English was taught in Hindi.
So how exactly did you overcome this? Did you manage to?
I did manage. It just took, because at that age, you know, when you're 13 or 14, it's not very difficult. You could always slip in, you know, get into the crowd and get accepted, learn a bit of their language, and be one among them.
All right. Thank you so much. Now, how many of you have actually had these transitions but haven't really faced difficulties at all? Moving into another school or another state or another city? Yeah.
Yeah, I did not have much of difficulty. I wouldn't say zero, but I didn't have much of difficulty. In fact, I also did my schooling in Hyderabad the way Madam did. And I came to Chengalpet, and I am a Tamilian, but then I didn't know how to write and read Tamil. But I still picked it up, and that was way back in my 9th class. And you wouldn't believe, in 10th I scored 76 marks in Tamil.
All right. So, right now, so how?
To take a few more views of people who might have had a difficult
Yeah.
time transitioning.
Anybody else who had a difficult time?
Yes.
You know, there were 2 transitions as far as I'm concerned. Can I stand up? Maybe, yeah, all right, okay. See, first was, I was studying in a school which was fancifully called Madrasi School. It was run by the Tamil Association in Delhi. Okay, and I was studying in Tamil medium at that stage. And then came along my cousins from Kharagpur, and they decided to join Carmel Convent. And so they told me, now you also join with us. So I went there and struggled with English. Totally struggled. But, you know, and one thing was that my cousins were there, so that was a great comfort. But 1 or 2 teachers were really good. I think, you know, my love for teaching was always there, but I think it was reinforced by those teachers. Because they made me feel good, you know, and they made me feel, okay, I can cope. And at home, my mother taught me English. And so by the time I reached 7th or 8th standard, I was excellent in English, according to the school. And then I moved from there to Chennai. You know, I just settled in that convent and felt happy about things, and we had to move to Chennai. And I didn't like it one bit. And I struggled and I used to throw tantrums every day to go to school. But there I coped because once again there were good teachers. But then another fellow student came from Delhi. I moved from Delhi to Chennai, she also moved from Delhi to Chennai. So I think both of us floundering there, and moved together, and somehow we found, comfort. And then the teachers and the classmates also pitched in after that. Then there was no problem after that. But it was difficult. First the language, next the culture. That's all.
Okay, let me just finish. Like Uma, I moved at a very crucial age in life. I moved when I was 11. And like Uma, I moved from Vidyamandir to an international school in the Gulf. And I was faced with being completely Tamil to being completely international. And then I moved back to India. So from there back again to this. So there has been a lot of change, but I realized that the only way you can fit in any environment is to have that one good friend. And that one good friend makes a huge difference in the way you view the whole environment in school. You can't fit in. I mean, you may be the most popular person in school, and you still won't fit in with everybody. But as long as you fit in with that one good friend, I think you'll have a happy school life.
Well said, ma'am.
Yeah, can we have a mic here, please?
Yeah, as he mentioned, my struggle is a little bit different from possibly what I imagine Uma's was, because like he said, I moved for graduate school, and as much as adolescence is punctuated by a struggle of having to fit in, my struggle was kind of the opposite of having to stand out, because early adulthood is a lot about making yourself distinctive and standing out from the crowd. So like the other person who moved to the Gulf said, I think if you can find a way to understand the system and get hold of that one person who understands you and the native culture the best, then I think you're sorted, and I'm sure Uma has the smarts to do that, and so do you. So you'll be fine.
Thank you. Okay, so
my father had a transferable job, so every 3 years I moved school. And in case we didn't move in the third year, I used to look forward as to why we weren't moving. And it became a set norm. Moving schools, making new friends. I kind of quite liked it then. But later when we moved, after I finished my standard 10, I moved from Visakhapatnam to Nagpur. It was a rude culture shock. Coming from a co-educational school, put into a girls' college, I didn't like it a bit. But slowly you adapt and you accept, and it dawns on you much later, when you're old as I am, that these learnings and transitions are very important in life. You learn to accept it, and you become a very, very nice, rounded person if you move schools. You really like it. You may not know. I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't move schools, but if you move schools, it gives you a wider knowledge about everything in life, honestly.
Just wanted to add, Yamini, it's me here. Because as Soumya just said, I was relating to that. My father also had a transferable job, and I think I've set a record. I've never studied in one school for more than 2 years. Never. 1 year move, 1 year, another 2 years later. And many schools in Chennai itself. Because he was either posted in Vadapanani or in one other corner. And it was, actually as she said, I was looking forward, okay, 1 year over, where am I going to go now? And once I settled in Madurai for my 10th standard, I found it very difficult. I'm not going to move from here. I have to stay here for this next 3 years. And only then I started, sort of making real friends. Till then, it was like a challenge to move with everybody. And my sense of humor was, it really helped. And self-depreciatory humor. Okay, I don't know this. Somebody else knew that, and I used to laugh at myself. Okay, I didn't even know this. And it moved. It really makes your interpersonal skills excellent when you keep moving around. And it really helps in some ways. I know, I have friends all over Chennai, Madurai, and
I just want, this is a question for all the youngsters who are sitting right in the front. I hope someone answers. How many of you have had the new kid in your class? Hi, oh, I see. And how nice have you all been to the new kid? How many of you have them fit in?
When the hands all went down, even at least they're honest.
Actually, I myself also. Okay. Okay, I myself, as they have clearly exhibited, have had my fair share of like moves. I moved from Bhilai, where I was born, to Hyderabad, to then Bombay, then to Delhi, then to London, and then back to Chennai. And all my friends know this by heart, and they're mouthing it right now. And then in Chennai, I came from like an absolutely different school, and I think after I came to Vidya Mandir and like settled down there, I mean for the past 5 years, that's where I made my real friends. So, yeah. Well, so right now, how many of, we're just going to have like a debate right now as to whether fitting in is important or not in school and how important it is. So how many of you feel that it's okay to, you know, sacrifice just a little bit of your personality in order to fit in with the crowd? A little bit, doesn't have to be too much, but you make friends in your new environment. I mean, how many? Yeah, show of hands.
How many people feel it's okay to a little bit to fit in? Little bit adaptation to fit in.
Just a little bit.
Personality. Okay, a show of hands for how many think just be who you are and find the other.
Even if you don't, even if you have like 0 friends in school, just be who you are. All right. So, yeah. Right.
Equal divide. Long debate. Probably those interested would stay back after all the time to be back.
Yeah.
So you may want to, if the next agenda is a vote of thanks, you may want to offer that. Thank you very much for the participation.
Yes. Lay my hands on this book. I plan to pick it up now. How many shades of Elizabeth Allen would we find in Uma, the naughtiest girl?
I'm not too sure actually, but she's not naughty as such.
Okay.
Well, she's more she actually isn't really, her individuality doesn't come out of a sense of humor. It's more like she's artistic and, you know, trendy and adaptable. That's her. It's not much of humor in her. But one of her friends is very hilarious. So, okay. So this respected elders, teachers, my dear family and friends, and everyone present here. An occasion like this allows me the opportunity to pause and acknowledge the support that numerous people have extended to me. I shall try to do my best, but I'm sure that there will be unintended omissions for which I plead apology up front. But firstly, I'd like to thank my late grandfather, Sri P.S. Vasu, who has until his last day been part of every single event of my life with his camera and his pride. I dedicate this book to him. Also, on his request, I dedicate it to Dr. Abdul Kalam, who was not only kind enough to review the first book, Mishti, but also, in my grandfather's words, one who loved and encouraged children. My grandfather persuaded me to send my first book to him for review, which is another crazy story. In the same breath, I fondly and gratefully remember our late Guru, dear Master Tata, who most affectionately bought the first 100 copies of my book. Equally, I'm grateful to our living Guru, who was quite attracted to the title of this book and gave his blessings. The blessings of these people not present here, I know accompany me. I would like to thank all my family who have always been with me and participated in every event. My mother, without whom none of my books would have hit the racks. And my father, who introduced me to reading in the first place. My grandparents, granduncles, and aunts and cousins, and for this event, a special thanks to Sundaram Tata, my granduncle, who has played a major role. My school, Vidya Mandir's principal, vice principal, and teachers have been part of all 3 book launches, lending me great encouragement throughout. Thank you, all of you. Thank you so much for being here. And now, my dear friends, and a crazy lot we might be, are united though. In the first book launch, we did a skit together, and as we are older now, and more teachers are also present, we agreed to attempt being on our best behavior. Pretty sure we failed. Giving teachers a surprise gift that they do not witness from us in school. My thanks also extends to friends, family, and my mother's Facebook friends. Thank you. There are several sets of people and institutions who have made my book launches possible. Mango DC Books, thank you. I thank much for this book, and particularly Saraswati ma'am, who I am sure is quite exhausted correcting my punctuations. Should I write more? I hope she will oblige. For my earlier publishers, Unicorn Books and Tiny Tot Publications seem to keep more than an arm's distance from me now. I thank Unicorn Books and Tiny Tot Publications for Mishti and Best of Granny Stories. Odyssey Bookstore and Ashwin Uncle have been very encouraging, hosting 2 of my 3 book launches, offering a wonderful setting for these. My special thanks to Seshasayee sir, who has taken time out of a very busy schedule to be here. I can't imagine you took the time to read a book for teens, sir. I thank the Rotary Club of Madras East and Revati Miss for being present here and recognizing me. Also, people from the press have been generous in their encouragement. Thank you very much. I thank everyone present here for taking time off on a summer weekday, fighting traffic to get here. And to all who are unable to be here but have sent their good wishes, once again, I plead apology for any omissions and feel grateful to all. Have a good evening and a great week. Thank you.
We would also like to thank all of you for making this evening memorable, who are present here. We hope you have enjoyed the event as we have done hosting it. The books are available for sale. Guests interested can visit there and take signature from the budding author. Once again, Team Odyssey wishes a great future to this wonder kid. We have named her from today Kohinoor. Signing off, until next, thank you and have a great evening ahead.